Hi everyone, this is Dr. Mamta Java, your microbiology faculty, and I welcome you all to the very first episode of a new video series which I'm starting from today, and I've named this video series as Micro Shots. Now, through this series called as Micro Shots, my aim is to giving you shots that is small yet very important information about clinical microbiology in the span of just a few minutes. And for the very first episode of this series, that is today's video, I'm going to talk about the names of the organisms which cause bacterial pneumonia. Okay, so pneumonia, you all know, is nothing but the infection of lungs, and bacteria are a very important cause of pneumonia. And the classical way to classify bacterial pneumonia is the lobar pneumonia, that is the typical pneumonia, and the atypical pneumonia, that is interstitial pneumonia. Now guys, this classification is based on the site or the area affected in the lungs. Okay, so let me first tell you the names of the agents of bacterial lobar pneumonia. Now, lobar pneumonia, as the name implies, it is going to affect one or more lobes of the lungs. So basically the lung parenchyma and the alveoli are getting affected in the lobar pneumonia, and we call it typical pneumonia. So typically it involves the lobes of the lungs, and typically the causative organisms can be grown on the routine or the conventional culture media which we use in the lab, like blood agar, chocolate agar, McConkey agar. And also the causative agents of typical pneumonia can be typically seen by the routine staining techniques, most commonly the Gram stain, which you all know that Gram stain is the most commonly done differential stain in any microbiology lab the world over, whether it is a very the simplest PHC lab or a research a research center lab. Okay, so as far as bacterial lobar pneumonia is concerned, I want you all to remember four important names, of which two names begin with the letter S, that is Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pneumoniae. Do remember that strep pneumoniae is the most common cause of community acquired pneumonia. Its name itself says pneumonia. So we have got strep pneumoniae, we have got Staph aureus. So these are the two names out of four causes of bacterial lobar pneumonia. Now guys, the third one is Haemophilus influenzae, and the last causative agent of bacterial lobar pneumonia are the gram negative bacilli. Okay, now the gram negative bacilli could be categorized into the fermenters and the non-fermenters. You all know that when we say gram negative fermenting bacilli or rods, what you should think of? You should think of the family Enterobacteriaceae. The very definition of Enterobacteriaceae family is that it contains gram negative rods which are going to ferment glucose with the production of acid plus minus gas, and all the members of Enterobacteriaceae family are catalase positive and oxidase negative. Alright, so as far as the gram negative rods causing bacterial pneumonia, bacterial lobar pneumonia are concerned, we have got on one hand the Enterobacteriaceae members like Escherichia coli, Enterobacter, Klebsiella, okay, Serratia marcescens, and the other kind of gram negative rods causing the bacterial lobar pneumonia are the non-fermenters, and three important non-fermenters you should remember: B, A and P. B for Burkholderia, A for Acinetobacter, and P for Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Okay, so I repeat, the bacterial lobar pneumonia is caused by four important organisms: strep pneumoniae, Staphylococcus aureus, Haemophilus influenzae, and last but not the least, the gram negative rods, which are further of two types, the fermenters and the non-fermenters. Alright, so that's about the names of the causative agents of the bacterial lobar pneumonia. Now, the second kind of bacterial pneumonia is the atypical pneumonia, which affects the interstitial spaces of the lungs, hence also known as interstitial pneumonia. Now it is much simpler to remember. The important bacteria which are responsible for the bacterial atypical pneumonia, which is not going to involve the lobes of the lungs, are C, M and L. C for chlamydia, M for mycoplasma, and L for legionella. Okay, so one reason why we call atypical pneumonia as atypical is of course the site affected in the lungs. That is, the typical lobes are not affected. It is the interstitial area which is affected. That's one reason. But also, guys, there is another reason why we call the atypical pneumonia as atypical pneumonia, and that reason is that the causative agents of atypical pneumonia are usually unable to grow on the routine culture media which we use in the lab, like blood agar, McConkey agar, chocolate agar. And you all know that CML, chlamydia, mycoplasma, legionella, we routinely don't do culture of these organisms. For chlamydia, culture was the earlier gold standard, but now it is no longer done routinely for diagnosis. You know that chlamydia are obligate intracellular. So whenever we used to do culture for chlamydia also, we did not have the conventional culture media with us. Chlamydia were grown either in the fertilized or embryonated hen's egg, that is specifically the yolk sac part of the egg, or certain cell lines like HeLa, Hep2 and McCoy, right? Then mycoplasma, again culture doesn't make sense because it takes a longer time, right? And then for legionella, we have to go for a special medium called as buffered charcoal yeast extract agar, that is BCYE medium, if at all you are suspecting legionella in a patient, because it is fastidious. It needs INC, that is iron and cysteine, for its growth. All right, so in this respect also these causative agents are atypical. Then the other reason also for these organisms being labeled as the causative agents of atypical pneumonia is that they do not entertain the routine staining procedures in the lab. That is, the gram stain which comes to our rescue with regard to diagnosis of so many infections is not going to help us in case of chlamydia, mycoplasma or legionella. Okay, chlamydia, you all know, if the only microscopic technique to detect chlamydia is Giemsa stain and iodine stain to be able to see the inclusion bodies of chlamydia. Okay, we don't do gram stain for chlamydia, it's obligate intracellular. And then for mycoplasma, which does not have a cell wall, gram staining itself does not make sense, but we can do Giemsa staining. But per se for mycoplasma, staining is insensitive. Remember, for diagnosis of mycoplasma infections, specifically mycoplasma pneumoniae, which causes pneumonia, we have to resort to serology. Okay, and then finally coming to legionella, if you are suspecting legionella, you have to prolong the duration of counter stain in gram staining. All right, if you follow the routine timings, the conventional timings of gram staining, then legionella is not going to be visible to us, okay, when we do gram staining. So please keep in mind that if you are suspecting legionella in a patient based on the clinical features and the geographical region the patient hails from, then you have to prolong the duration of the counter stain so that you can pick it up under gram stain. That's one. Plus, you have to go for DFA staining, that is direct fluorescent antibody staining for legionella, or you have to go for silver staining. All right. So these are the important reasons why we call atypical pneumonia as atypical pneumonia. All right, so I repeat, in a nutshell, in this video, through this video, just remember the names of the typical and atypical bacterial pneumonia agents. The typical ones are strep pneumoniae, staph aureus, H. influenzae, gram-negative bacilli, and the atypical bacterial pneumonia causes are CML, that is chlamydia, mycoplasma and legionella. All right. Please do let me know in the comment section how you like this video, and you can even suggest me topics for the upcoming videos of this series called as Micro Shots. If you are unable to remember something, or you are finding difficulty in understanding some topic, do let me know. I'll try to cover that as well. So study well guys, and God bless you all.